In the airline industry, again, we're already seeing the profits are coming back to pre-pandemic levels, huge profits, executive pay's going up, all this stuff, and they're trying to squeeze more of the life from their workers.
A U.S. House panel has voted to raise commercial pilot retirement ages to 67, up from where it is currently at 65.
Oh, that's not good.
No, it's not good. It was set that pilots have a mandatory retirement age. Back in 2000, I think it was last changed in 2009 or 2008. Before that, the retirement age was 60, the mandatory retirement age. You had to retire at 60. They raised it to 65, and now they have voted to raise it to 67, and so that's going to go to the full House in the FAA reauthorization or something. And probably because now it's been included in this big package, it's probably going to pass with Democratic support, presumably. And it's just bad policy. It's bad policy. I think the obvious thing that you think of is the safety issue, right? Is that being a pilot requires a certain amount of stamina, of mental acuity, all this sort of stuff. That it does pose a danger to the workers' lives as pilots and the stewards on the plane, but also to consumers. Like every flight you have in the hands of the pilot, hundreds of people, hundreds of lives there. And so there is definitely reason to set standards with regards to how old a person can be to be a pilot. And so that was the rationale for setting the retirement age to 60 previously and for keeping it at 65 as opposed to just abolishing it altogether. And so they're saying that they're doing this, and I haven't found anything, and I'm sure that if you could go to the House website or something, but I haven't found anything that shows the partisan breakdown of this vote. It was very narrow. It was 32 to 31 to put this in the bill. And so my assumption is that was on along party lines for the most part, but I don't know. But the rationale there is that that they say that there's a pilot shortage. Republican Representative Sam Graves, who is the chair of the committee, said the bill is, quote, vital to our economy, to millions of jobs, and to the 850 million passengers that depend on the aviation system every year. And also, it will not surprise you that the airline bosses, the Regional Airline Association, praised the pilot age hike, noting that 324 airports have lost on average a third of their air service, with more than 400 airplanes parked due to a lack of pilots. And they say raising the pilot retirement age keeps experienced pilots, particularly captains, in place. And I
could think of other ways to do that.
Yeah. I wonder if there would be other ways to keep to acquire experienced pilots or train new ones. I wonder. It will also not surprise you that the unions oppose this. The Airline Pilots Association opposed raising the retirement age and says one of the issues with it is that it could cause airline scheduling and pilot training issues and require reopening pilot contracts. Even if the proposal is approved, the union noted that international rules would still prevent pilots older than 65 from flying in most countries outside the U.S. The union says that this is a politically driven choice that betrays a fundamental understanding of airline industry operations, the pilot profession, and safety. And I think that's a key thing, that there is a safety issue here. But also, I think I would be willing to admit that probably, which, this is really not something that you want to be saying when you're talking about hundreds of lives during a pilot is responsible for every flight, but probably we're not going to see a marked increase in crashes. Probably, the risk is not one that I would want to take just on that alone. But probably, okay, maybe we can stipulate that. But there's just no reason to do this, because if the airlines just paid people more money and gave them more time off, then they could get more people and they could fly the planes. It's just crazy that, it's so frustrating seeing this kind of stuff happen when, in the airline industry, again, we're already seeing the profits are coming back to pre-pandemic levels, huge profits, executive pays going up, all this stuff, and they're trying to squeeze more of the life from their workers. I mean, literally squeezing more of the life out of their workers to try to keep profits high instead of doing literally anything else. It's just, it's bad. It's very bad. Secretary Buttigieg does not support raising the pilot retirement age as well. And the union is also in negotiation with a couple of the airlines. And, one of the big issue in these negotiations is not the pay, because on average, airline pilots are paid pretty well. They have to go through a long period of training, but once they become pilots, they're paid pretty well. But the issue in this contract negotiation, according to the bargaining committee, in the interviews that they've been giving to the media, is not the pay, it is the time off, the time away from work. They said that over the pandemic, a lot of pilots really realized how much they were missing out on, just how much they were missing out on, and want to change that. And so it's not even that they're wanting so much more money, it's that they're wanting more freedom from work. Which is something that we should all support, and that is why we should all oppose the raising of the retirement age for pilots, even aside from the safety issues. Pittsburgh Dude 87 says, I feel like pilots should have the option to retire with full benefits at 65, but if they can pass a physical health exam and want to continue, they should be allowed to continue to 67. I feel like it depends on health versus age. There could be 67-year-olds where they're healthier than people younger than them. That point is definitely true.
Yeah, fair enough.
But also, I don't know about even if they pass a certain health, even if it's just, I think it's, I don't know. I don't even know.
Yeah, because I'm sensitive to that, and I get that. Like, I wouldn't want to tell someone, like, hey, you've got to go home before they're ready. But at the same time, I think the bigger picture, well, like, I could see individuals who maybe would benefit from that. I think in the bigger picture, it speaks to your point about basically we're accommodating an employer's refusal to do reasonable things to have adequate staffing, which would be ensuring they have a pipeline of folks that are being trained, taking care of the folks that they have and retaining them by meeting them in terms of their demands on vacation and leave time and pay, of course. But pilots are very that's a very specific skill set, and it's a very important job that not everybody can do. And so, to me, I think it's incumbent on the airlines to do everything they can to have a high-quality workforce in terms of their pilots. And, it's not that hard to get people to want to do that job if the pay is right, if the benefits are right, if you are intentional about recruiting folks into the profession and intentional about retaining folks in the profession. Like, employers really, really don't want to take personal responsibility when it comes for their own actions and inactions and how it translates into their employment statistics and their retention and their recruitment and all this, right?
Yeah.
They just don't want to take responsibility for how their own behavior as the employer largely determines whether they have employees,
right?
And the quantity and quality of said employees.
Yeah.
So
and while recognizing a sensitivity to maybe the interest of a few pilots to want to work until they're 67, there is. That would undoubtedly, if you make that step, That would undoubtedly, that's just a wedge. And so the next time, maybe there's a recession or there's a pilot shortage, maybe it would continue. It would just open the door for more and more, and for maybe allowing them to not give full retirements at 65. And also, I think it's important to say, like, okay, also, is it good for society to have people, continuing to work into their 70s and 80s as opposed to being able to kind of have a retirement? And, we think about, the thing about giving them the freedom to work until they're 67, kind of made me think about, which is, it is different, but there's kind of a similar logic there. Some like conservative arguments that would say people should have the freedom to work for $5 an hour instead of $7 an hour.
Right.
That people should have the freedom to maybe work over 40 hours a week without getting time and a half if they are a hourly employee. And that maybe people should have the freedom to work in a facility that is not compliant with the Occupational Safety and Health Act. Is that really a freedom that is good for society to give to people? And for all of those, I think the answer is much clearer. I think that the answer is no. It is not good for society to allow people to work for $5 an hour. It is not good for society to allow people to work in unsafe conditions. And it is not good for society for employers to be able to pay people pay people straight time for more than 40 hours a week. I think those are all very clearly bad. And I don't think, I don't think Pittsburgh dude would disagree with that. But I do think that there's a question there about, like, is that actually good for society to allow pilots to continue working to 67? It's much less clear cut, and I could be convinced either way probably. But those are things to consider. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.